Okay.
Yes, we are.
Hey, we're live. It's alive.
I don't know, man. One day this won't be as hard as it seems.
You would think in 2026.
You would. So, what's our agenda for today?
Remember? Do you remember? What was it? What's his name? Owner of the Mavericks. That wasn't he one of the first streaming platforms? Real Audio.
Real Audio. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Real Player and Real Everything and janky plugins and
those little tiny ass thumbnails. Yeah, I remember that shit. Wow.
It's not really any better, is it?
Well, I mean, slightly, but still, it's not a whole hell of a lot better. It's basically YouTube 2000, whatever. Okay. We are going to talk a little news. We're going to talk about a paper you're reading. One of the things you talk about a lot, which is kind of LLM capabilities. And then we're going to talk about reputation on the Kilroy network when we launch and what we're working through. We're going to kind of talk through something that's actually still in process, but we're working with the tokenomics expert to make sure we do things correctly.
Do you want me to start with the paper while you scrounge up your list?
Yeah, do that, would you please?
Well, let me, somehow my share went away, so let me share this real quick, and we'll talk about it. Okay, so this is a paper that came out, I guess, at the end of last week. And it's by the guy who's the CTO or former CTO of SAP. Not peer-reviewed, but the guy goes into some pretty interesting mathematical proofs in it, where he basically says, look, there's a limit to what LLMs can do, period, because they can only perform a finite number of floating point operations based on the complexity of their model. They can just do so much, right? And anything beyond that limit becomes hallucination, because now they're not doing fact-based math. They're using other stuff to just generate a token spew.
Right.
When this came out last week, I think a lot of people misunderstood what the paper was about, because the Wired article, I think, was titled something like "Math proves that LLMs suck."
Right.
I mean, that's to paraphrase. That's not what it really said. And what everybody heard when that got posted was LLMs suck at math. and they do suck at math. And the reason that they suck at math is because math says they'll suck.
Right.
And not to belabor the point too much, but this paper goes into some interesting proofs that say, look, if I can only do so many math operations before I've run out of compute power, it means that I can only process a prompt that's so big. I can only deal with a problem that's of a certain size and complexity before I run out of compute, and now I'm making stuff up, right? I'm not driving the model based on my inputs. I'm driving the model now based on random number generator or whatever, whatever's going on. And obviously the bigger models have bigger context and can do harder problems, but it's a bounded limit, right? I mean, if you wanted to do some horrible, gnarly physics calculation, you're not going to do it with an LLM that fits into any of the compute that we have.
Right.
And part of the scaling problem is that you can scale these things horizontally all you want. You need to support 1,000 users, add 1,000 GPUs. You want to do 10,000, add 10,000. You want to, scale the model up, well, add more RAM to your GPU or whatever the mechanic is. But this is a problem we've discussed also on the blockchain with throughput for transaction volumes on blockchains. You're bounded by the compute of the single instance. However many machines you can throw at the one LLM is all you're ever going to throw at the problem.
Right.
The LLMs don't scale across hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of GPUs to run one model. So there is an inherent limit on how much you're going to be able to do with these. And the reality of it is that once you've done your term paper, or once you've filled in your status report, or once you've done whatever it is that you're making it do that's subjective text, it becomes problematic to make these things do repeatable, correct stuff. And there was an interesting little bit of math that I just did just as a side effect of this. If you've got an LLM that's 99.5% accurate. That is 99.5% of the time, it's going to give you a correctly calculated result. That is, it didn't hallucinate. It used its abilities and its math limits to come up with an answer. This is kind of the whole failure mode that came out of like the Challenger accident. You can have 99.5% reliability, and after 20 iterations, you now have a 60% failure rate, right? Because 1.05 to the 20th power is like 1.6 something. So you've got a 60% chance of failure by the time you've done it 20 times. Do it 20 more times and you'll have, math says you'll have a failure. So you're going to get hallucinations no matter how accurate these things are. They will accumulate errors, right? So the whole premise of the paper is you better stop doing mission critical stuff that depends on 100% accuracy with these, because you're not going to get it.
Right, right.
That's a long way to say that not only can they not do math, math says you can't do any hard problem correctly repeatedly. Don't trust them. It's depressing,
absolutely.
right?
Yep, absolutely.
But 99.5% accuracy is way better than most humans. So
of course. All right. So this has been blowing up. It's had 3 names in a week. I found out this morning when I went to look at some stuff about it that it's now called OpenClaw. It was called Claude, CLAWD. And then Anthropic asked the guy that created it to change the name because it was too close to Claude Code, CLAUDE. And so he changed it to Molt, MOLT, and redid all the documentation and redid all the code. And then evidently during the night while I was sleeping, decided he didn't like that name and changed the name to OpenClaw. So what is it and why is it blowing up? It's blowing up because it's essentially kind of an autonomous agent system. It functions similar to how Claude Code does. It has built-in memory. It is a command line interface, CLI interface to basically kind of an autonomous agent that you can interact with, but you can also have it run amok and write code, answer emails, do all kinds of things for you. It's very powerful. Feels kind of magical when you look at what people are doing with it. And there's some really cool things that are happening. Things like they will tell someone, hey, go create a face for yourself and an audio interface for yourself, and it'll do that for it and come back and has now an animated face that you interact with instead of just the command line. And it's really powerful and really doing well. The developer of it, oh, you may know which one this is, Chuck. He was originally the creator of, there's a famous PDF library, but a commercial PDF library. Is it PDF? Maybe. Anyway, made all his money on that, sold the company. It's like the enterprise PDF control. Anyway, I watched an interview with him about why he created this. He now does no manual coding, uses OpenClaw completely for every aspect of his coding, and doesn't even read the code that it creates for him. That actually built this thing. Anyway, the problem is that
cringing just from recent experience, which we can talk about in a little bit.
Yeah. The really interesting thing about this is it's a cool model, and for us, it's an applicable model to the tools we already have built into Kilroy. So we're actually kind of excited about somebody putting out a test case and people getting excited about it. But the problem with this is, well, the good thing for Apple is everyone decided that they needed to put this on an Apple Mini. And so Apple's probably going to announce record sales of Apple Minis over the last couple of weeks when their quarter ends, I guess, because everybody bought Apple Minis to install this on. I happen to have an old MacBook Pro that I'm installing it on and going to play with it some more and get a feel for it. The other thing that was interesting is somebody that actually launched a Mac Mini hosting service, although this is really... Oh,
yeah, Eric Bickford's Mac Web platform. Do you have a picture?
I have a screen. Oh, I'm not even showing my screen, am I?
No, you're not. You're just talking off into space.
I'm talking away and assuming my screen is there. Yeah, okay, Brad.
There, I showed it for you.
Show up to work, Brad. No, that's not me.
Oh, that's my screen.
Yeah.
Yours isn't even in the queue, man. Let's get with it. Come on.
I know. I'm not really fully in the game today, Chuck. Okay. And I finally got some sleep. All right. What are you seeing on there now? Good.
I'm seeing us, and I'm seeing WhatsApp,
There
Telegram,
we go.
Discord, Message Gateway.
Hello?
You're there.
Yeah. You see the screen?
Open claw.
Perfect. So that was Open Claw. Let me go over back to MacWeb. There it is. $1,200 a month for 4 M4 Pro Mac mini clusters. So I mean that's a lot of power, really. But each of those devices, I think, is about $1,600. So you know, having them all set up and clustered for you is really nice. Although I would probably do that myself. But anyway.
Well, I think the difference is you got smart hands, and it's up 24/7, and it's provision service.
Oh, for enterprise services, it's perfect. I mean, you know, and look at this. There's a built-in limitation in all the new Mac M series chips that you can only do up to 4 Thunderbolt 5 connections into them. And so they've obviously built this out so that they can actually cluster off with subnets. So,
you know, it's funny. All these people that come out of the ancient history of the Mac HTTP and WebStar days, these guys have been cranking on this literally since about 1995 or 96.
That's amazing.
Right. I mean, this business has been going. Eric is a great guy. I haven't probably talked to him since about 98 or 99, and he just popped up in LinkedIn the other day. And it's you know, it's great to see that all these people that started back in the day, early internet, are still cranking away and being successful at this stuff. It gives me hope.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's really cool. So anyway, Moltbot's blowing up. Well, now OpenClaw is blowing up, going well. And in the Apple space as well, Hugging Face now has 10,000 MLX models. So I'm sure all those guys with their new Mac Minis are going to be excited to know that there's some actual native models for the Apple devices. These things, it runs a lot faster. I actually, Chuck, this week, there's a brand new version of LM Studio out, and I was testing it out because it's got headless server mode now.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if it's back up to Olama speeds, because it was pretty pokey before when you used it as a server.
Well, what I wanted to test it out for, and I didn't go back for the new version. I went because I wanted to really start using MLX models for the performance, so we have a faster response on what we're doing since we're on Macs ourselves. But obviously, you're not limited to using a Mac with Kilroy. But I was installing it for that, and so I've downloaded GLM 4.7. I'm going to test out some things with, because that supposedly has some really great performance, the 30B model, and a couple of others to test out. There's some new MLX embedding models. So if you're on an Apple device with Apple Silicon in it, you may want to give LM Studio a try.
When did they do that release? Because when we were doing some of the RAG stuff last week with Kilroy, I had pulled that down to see if it did a better job of serving up the RAG content than we were getting with the RLM stuff that we talked about.
I think it was in the last 2 or 3 days.
All right. Well,
so
guess I better go look.
Yeah, check it out. I thought this was interesting. Apple, I hadn't seen this before. Apple has an alpha genome and a DNA LLM, a DNA model for modeling genetic work, et cetera. I just thought that was kind of interesting. And, I'm constantly looking in the longevity and health space for the latest research. And so I thought
they're just going to use it to build better iPhone customers.
There you go.
Slip this into the local water supply, and all of a sudden everybody wants blue chat bubbles.
Yeah. Google, I think it's still in, maybe it's publicly available now. Google
announced it yesterday. I saw this.
Yeah, launched their 3D world building AI platform.
A mere $250 a month.
Yeah, well, you got to pay for the best. But I mean, imagine a game developer who doesn't want to build out all the stuff that they have to build out. It's actually pretty cool what's possible. So
I didn't notice if it actually does it like generate like Unity models, or is it just got the big massive context? Because when they did this before, it was like, we're trying to make a consistent 3D space that you can look around in, sort of like VR. and it's going to keep the trees where the trees were, and stuff's not going to move around. But if they were smart, they'd be using this to build models of the world, so they didn't constantly have to recompute the video.
I gotta believe that they made it so it's exportable that way, but I'll check it out and see.
Well,
but
what that video looks like for sure must be, because I can't imagine, you'd see dog getting 3 tails and all sorts of other stupid stuff if it was the traditional video generation.
Oh yeah, and look at how simple this prompt is. It's like to launch this. They put a character in an environment, and that's it, and just describe a photorealistic alpine meadow with wildflowers. Right?
They probably ninja'd some scene out of Heidi.
Anyway, this is pretty cool. I think this has implications for gaming. I think it has implications for production in film and television. I think there's just a lot of stuff that makes this a really interesting thing that they're putting out. And obviously, this is going to be a hosted offering. It takes a ton of compute power, but it's a pretty powerful thing. They'll probably make a lot of money on it. So, oh, this is really interesting. I'm going to send you this link, Chuck. This guy, Paul Kinlan, I've never heard of him before, but he is at Google in the Chrome extension developers advocate program, something. But he makes some really cool arguments about utilizing the browser for compute and, with WebAssembly, et cetera. And he does all these
sandboxed,
yeah, and he does, so he's making the argument here that the best sandbox is a browser because it's already got it built in, and then he actually creates what he's thinking about as an experiment every time he writes one of these articles. So in this case, he was talking about file management and reading and writing files. So he actually created an in-browser file manager for the sandboxed file system. Just some really cool stuff. This guy's at aifoc.us. This one was also interesting because he has basically recreated his so Google's Notebook LM, right? He basically recreated all that functionality that you get in Google, but locally as a browser extension. So you can add pages as you're browsing the web and add it to this system, and it'll do create the audio file or create the research report or create the quiz or the course or whatever. So it's actually, this one I actually want to try out. It's actually a really cool implementation of kind of the Notebook LM functionality, but it makes a lot of sense because you can just use it while you're browsing the web. Anyway, cool guy. I liked his stuff, and I'm going to read some more of his stuff. So, and me, I like the idea of everything operating in the browser. So,
of the 500 tabs.
Yes, exactly. So,
is that what's all around the edge there? That's just frightening, man. I just can't imagine.
No, this is Sidebar. This is Sidebar in Microsoft Edge. You can open up Telegram or Discord. I
have 3 browser tabs open on my whole screen.
Oh, wow, that's impressive.
And 2 of them are Kilroy. Speaking of, we should talk about the impending launch of Kilroy's awesome tokenomics model.
Well, you're up.
Well, so I'm gonna show a picture, and it's just to have something on the screen besides 2 ugly old guys.
And why did we decide that we needed a tokenomics model?
Well, funny you should ask. So because Kilroy is designed to be peer-to-peer and edge-based and sort of a one-to-one map to individuals, it plays really well into decentralized social media and decentralized app development and collaborative work in these swarms. The problem is that you don't know who you're collaborating with all the time. You don't know who the people are that might be in your social media groups. You don't necessarily know who you're sharing a swarm with. And one of the challenges and the reason that people don't build systems this way is the moderation and the curation of the content. Since you don't know who you're interacting with, you have to have some trust mechanic, right?
Right.
And one of the reasons that we spent so much time with blockchain under the hood here is that that's your trustless record of truth, right? This transaction happened. These people swapped this stuff for this much currency, whatever. That gives us a trustable accounting mechanism, but we still have a problem with reputation and whether or not this person is a good actor.
Right.
And a really simple example might be, suppose that you take, I don't know, something like the material indicator signals that are putting out buy signals or dip signals for a particular cryptocurrency. You've been running that project for many years. People know that you're a good guy. They recognize your name. You suddenly put that out there as a Kilroy swarm that people can subscribe to and get signals when it's time to trade. And you're trading on your reputation, and they're trusting your reputation that the data that's coming across that wire is good.
Right.
Now, fast forward 6 months into the Kilroy ecosystem, and there's 2 or 3 other people who are deciding to do the same thing, but you don't know anything about them. Do you really want to take data from them? Are they just front running you on trades? What's really going on with the value that they're providing?
Yep.
So one of the things that we're conceptualizing for Kilroy is this reputation model, where in the economy of Kilroy, where you can make money with Kilroy, you can put services online, you can build apps, you can put LLMs out there that do things for people, you can be a community leader in a chat, you can help people, online help or tutorials or whatever. There's a lot of different ways to monetize this platform, and of course the transactional infrastructure is there with the blockchain, but you don't have the trust. And one of the things that's never been well done in most centralized social media applications is trust. You've got platforms like Reddit with thumbs up and thumbs down. Well, karma is not really a good measure of trust. It's a good measure of how much social media clout can you generate with controversial or interest generating posts, right? It's not, doesn't tell me that this person's good or smart or correct. It just tells me that a lot of people click to the thumbs up button. It's even worse on Facebook because there's no thumbs down, right? The best you can do is, laugh at somebody, right? So you don't have any way to measure the quality of the work product. The closest thing that I've seen in forever that ever did it was back in the old days of Slashdot. If you had enough upvotes on your posts and you were doing well enough in terms of the amount of posts that you were making and comments and interaction, occasionally you would magically get awarded moderator points. And those moderator points were points that you could assign to other people to reward them for doing something good in the Slashdot universe. And that kept the real system operators from having to do a lot of tedious manual stuff of weeding out the bad comments, blocking the people that were abusing the system, and basically let unpaid moderators do, the paint my fence job of keeping the community relatively clean.
Right.
So the model with Kilroy is, as we get closer to the let's let everybody jump on board and participate in the launch, we want to identify influencers and leaders in the community and people that are motivated to do good works that we know have some personal relationship with or have demonstrated through continued good works that they have the best interests of the Kilroy community at heart. We want to give them some reputation. Reputation is going to be modeled as a sort of as a scoreboard. You could think of it as a currency, but it's really not. Right. You're going to have some balance of reputation that we're affectionately calling rep zero. And that's like moderator points. You'll be able to scour the Kilroy landscape and find people that are producing cool apps or that have a neat service that's online, or they've been doing a good job in the help forums, talking to other people or onboarding new users, and award that rep zero to them as reputation, rep one. And in that model, let me just put this picture up. We'll talk about it a little bit. In that model, the scorekeeping happens on a blockchain that's dedicated to Kilroy. We've hypothesized that it might be basis app chains, but it could really be any L3, right? It doesn't have to have a lot of throughput capability because the transaction volume is pretty low, but it gives us a way to keep score, right? A place to keep score. How is your rep doing? And also to put gas fees on things that should cost money, because we want to take the gas fees from the chain and make that available to people who have reputation to convert that reputation into a fungible asset. If you're doing a great job, you should make money doing a great job. You don't have to be a software developer with Kilroy to get reputation and to actually get monetary rewards out of the network. If you're doing a good job as a moderator in the Telegram channel, you're going to get reputation awarded to you, and you're going to be able to turn around and cash that out through the through the process of, well, it's Kilroy token back across the chain onto base and back into USDC or whatever you used to convert your Kilroy tokens back into. So the model is, hey, do good works, get rewarded with reputation. Now, the cool thing is do bad things and get reputation taken away. And there may be swarms that you have to have a certain level of reputation to participate in. You're a bad actor, you're just not even going to get in.
Right.
The agents won't let you talk to those swarms. There may be service providers that have agents that they want to make available, but you have to be a high reputation participant, right? Or you may go out to the marketplace and say, hey, I need an LLM that gives me a daily weather report, and it needs to have a reputation threshold of this, right? And so you put out a bid and you get proposals back. And if part of the proposal is the supplier's reputation and it's not high enough, they don't get to participate.
Right.
So you're incentivized to work well and play well with others, and you actually can receive monetary rewards for that. So in this model, the reputation is kind of interesting. You know, early on you're a hero and you garner a lot of reputation because you were one of the first people in and you made something really cool. I don't know, like a web server in 1993. You shouldn't be able to rest on your laurels for the remainder of all time and have that reputation sit there in a bucket and you're the king of the world because you did one thing one time.
Right.
Reputation, just like in the real world, gets stale and decays. So over time, if you don't do anything, maybe it's 10% a month, maybe it's 5% a month, whatever the knobs are that we end up turning. Eventually, if you don't do anything, your reputation's gone. Nobody remembers your name. You don't know, you haven't made any contributions lately. Your reputation's no good.
Right.
And consequently, the monetary value of that reputation is gone as well. So you're incentivized to keep participating, at least at a level that keeps your reputation constant.
Right.
And you as a user have the option of, well, you know what? I'm tired of playing this game. I'm just going to take my marbles and go do something else with them. Maybe hire a developer to build some more apps. I'm going to cash my reputation out, turn it back into fungible tokens, go get somebody to do some work, build a cool new app, and come in and get even more reputation. Whatever the cycle is, we want to have the infrastructure in place to do that with Kilroy. And once we've demonstrated that it all works in the Kilroy ecosystem, you should be able to stand up any project on top of this chain, decide what it means to have reputation for your project and how you reward it and how you redeem it, and use this infrastructure that Kilroy kind of pioneered for any number of other projects, whether it's a crypto project, it's a real world fundraising, it's some charitable organization. However you decide to have the reputation get created and consumed will be up to you.
Love it.
So,
absolutely love it.
I don't know, I rambled a lot. Did I say anything?
No, you said, I think that's perfect. I mean, and I think, I think it's important for people to understand that we wanted to build in an incentive, but we wanted to build in a system that was smart and reflected real world use and would help grow the network. The goal of it wasn't to create a token. The goal of it was to create something that represented your contribution to the entire network, because the very nature of a peer-to-peer and swarmed, AI-centric network is you want people to build it together, and without it, you don't have a network. So I think this model makes a ton of sense, and I'm actually excited about it. I think it's going to work.
Well, so in the interest of getting it to market faster, this is another thing that we would love to have people who want to be involved early, who want to get some of that rep zero and be a player in the ecosystem. We need people to help build out this infrastructure, literally build it out, sometimes with, a Solidity contract here or there, build it out with a chain that we can work on, or just build it out conceptually by gaming it out with us and talking about what you'd like to use rep for and what you think you should be rewarded for and how you think the system should work. It's all dependent on having the platform in place, first of all. So if you haven't had a chance to play with Kilroy, Brad, why don't you do our paid service?
So Chuck is available on every network, Telegram, Twitter, Farcaster, etc., as C. Shotton. And I am B05 Crypto on Twitter, B05 on Farcaster, B05 Crypto on Telegram. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us. My DMs are open on every platform. We would love to hear from you. If you don't hear from me right away, Twitter has a tendency to and you DM me on Twitter, Twitter has a tendency sometimes to think every message is spam. So I have to overcome
It's not.
developer weaknesses there. So, no, great job, man. I think that's awesome. I'm excited.
Well, it was great to talk about it, and I'm ready to start using it. So let's pitter patter.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Now, here's the interesting thing. It says that we are live on all the networks, but I went and checked them, and we're not. So whatever that hiccup was at the beginning, Brad will be uploading all the videos to all the networks.
That's good.
Yeah.
Shoot me the URL because I want to share this with some of the people that we talked about.
Yeah, I'll give you the YouTube one. Oh, actually, it looks like the YouTube one did go live, so that's good. That's good. But
all right. Well,
Twitter and LinkedIn did not.
Vibe coding Kilroy applications. We'll do that next week.
Yeah, well, because we're turning the vibe coding model upside down, right?
Right.
Everybody else is creating code that has to function on another platform. Everything you create in Kilroy happens inside of Kilroy.
Right.
So.
It's making itself do the work immediately rather than let's go off to Python and see if it worked.
What happens in Kilroy stays in Kilroy.
Exactly. All right, man.
All right, buddy. I'll